Now, just a little bit about YouTube and a few people on YouTube. There's one guy called Scotty Kilmore, really good. Get on to him if you want to see him and talk to him. Watch his videos. I like him a lot. One thing he says, he'll tell you straight, he says, American cars mainly, of course I'm in Australia, but one of the things he'll say is, oh, don't buy these cars, they're crap, or they're no good, or they're hard, they're hard to fix, or they break down all the time. Well, I'll go one further than that. Here's my opinion. This is my 2 cents worth. Having a look at that disc and how it's sitting on the car on the hub, I think what they're doing is they're saying we have 50,000 sets of discs in the computer, we have 50,000 sets of hubs, we have 50,000 motors, righto, let's make a car. The computer says they'll all fit together. This is what I think they're doing. They're cutting corners. They're saying, okay, let's put that, the computer says that disc will fit that hub, so let's not check it, let's just put it all together. This is what I think's happening. I think they're putting cars together by computer, and it's downright dangerous. It's not working. No one's checking. No one's checking to make sure that all the parts are compatible and they all fit together. They're just going by what the computer says. The computer says they go together, they put them together and send them down the highway. And of course, you have all sorts of things that happen. This is really interesting to me why this is doing this. This is doing this sort of a thing. But anyway, just my theory. I think you like these little tiny cars like the Suzuki Alto. I'm really looking at everything on it now and thinking, I don't like taking it out. It's only a city car. I know it's only a city car, but we do take it out on the highway. But I'm starting to get a little bit worried now doing 100 k's an hour, 110 k's an hour on it, Yeah, well, and of course you've got all the other little cars that they make, like the GM Barina here in Australia, and the new little Kias and Hyundais. So I don't know. I think you'd have to sort of look pretty carefully at what you're buying from now on. But anyway, YouTube, there's something for you to think about, and let me know in the comments what you think, and I'll try to get some more videos out as soon as I can. But a bit of interesting stuff for you to think about. Catch you next time. So down here you have the engine mounting. So I pulled them out. This one here, I cleaned them up. You can go on YouTube and have a look. They call them racing engine mountings. I used some Sikalek 225, I think it was. Very hard to get out of the tube. Anyway, I pushed it out. It's like a polyurethane or something, and pushed it in there, let it sit for a while. But when I put these engine mountings back in, what I actually did, if you look down here behind this bolt and this plate the engine mounting sits on, you'll see I put some duct tape. I actually put some duct tape down underneath that and up here before I put it all back together. So I'll tell you all about that in a minute. That all went back, that all went good. That went good with that silica tube of stuff in there. Filled it right up, let it set, put it all back together. But I put duct tape under here, right? Like a plastic tape, 100 mile an hour tape, whatever you like to call it, 3M tape, whatever you like to call it. Okay, now down here, you're probably not going to be able to see this. There's another engine mounting where my finger's pointing, and it's underneath the battery. As we were driving this thing along, we had a rattle in it all the time, which we thought were the brakes, which it was, as part of it, rattles. It feels like the front end's falling out of it. But those bolts under here, holding underneath this battery box, same sort of engine mounting as that one over there on the driver's side. That engine mounting was actually not even done up properly. So I pulled it out, cleaned it up, did the same thing, the silica on it, let it set, put down this tape here. This is the tape I'm talking about. Put that under it, bolted it all back in underneath the brackets, bolted it all back in, made sure all the bolts were done up tight. Couldn't get to the back one, so what I did is I jacked the car up, got underneath, and I pulled the rubber back on the engine mount, and I just pushed in as much of that silica as I could with the weight off the engine mounting, made sure all the bolts were tight, because it's terrible to get out. They reckon you've got to pull a motor out or something to get it out, but I reckon you can get it out, take all this, take the intake manifold and everything off, and I reckon you can get it out up through here. But anyway, I did the same thing, put the silica in. I'll tell you what, man oh man, this thing drives like a Rolls Royce now. You got no idea. All the rattles and the bumps and everything have gone out of it. So you'd swear, but they get that big rattle in the front end and carry on, you'd swear the front end was falling out, but I'm sure people get rid of them because the dealers don't want to know about it. But there's some fixes for you. So this is the disc I took off the front. Doesn't look too bad. Like, it's got a few lines on it, but that'll clean up. Sand it a little bit, so the grooves aren't too bad in it. I've seen worse. But this interested me. They rattle on the front end, these things, all the time, these Suzuki Altos. Rattle, rattle, rattle as you're going down the road. You swear the front end's falling out of them. But I found that the calipers are designed wrong or something. The brakes and the calipers on the front rattle like crazy. And the anti-rattle shims they have in there aren't good enough. If you pull them apart and put a little bit of grease, there's plenty of videos on YouTube showing how to do that. I didn't really need to put that up for you. Put a bit of grease on the shims behind your brake pads and that, and put them all back together. That stops the rattling for a while. But I found it funny, they must have had trouble with this from brand new with the rattling. So when I went to take the their fix, the company fix was, they got under there with a big bar and extension, and they must have just about broke the bolts off doing up the calipers, trying to stop the rattle. Geez, I had some fun undoing those bolts. I couldn't believe how tight they were, but that must have been them trying to fix the rattle in the front. But you can fix it for a while, it goes away and it comes back again. But what I did find when I took this off, which is interesting, you can see here the wheel, and the wheel nuts is the only thing that holds this on, right? Have a look here, I don't know if you can see it very good. You can see that the wheel is only touching this here, here, right, around here. They put bolts on here for some reason, screw holes. I don't know why they did that, because they just fall off. So you don't really need to use a bolt. This I found interesting. So these wear marks in here, I don't know, I'm not a real brainy person, but to me, with that wheel on this disc, and as far as I know, this has never been apart from the factory, except for the guys that tried to stop the rattle and tighten. I reckon they must have tried to tighten up the brake calipers that much. It wasn't funny. Look at these lines here. These where, like, this whole thing has been moving, and it's not sitting right up against the hub. It's only touching the hub here and here. So when you're braking, what you're doing is you're getting this thing, the whole wheel and the whole thing moving a little bit. This is what I'm, I don't know. You guys out there tell me. So what I did when I put the other ones back on, I went into the wreckers and I got one for a spare, and I sanded it all back. I did in here too. I sanded all this back here, and so I'm going to see if it makes any difference. And then I bolted it all back up together, and I made sure all the wheel nuts were really tight. But all that holds it on is the wheel nuts and the wheels holes is on. It's all that holds on. And this wear mark here is as if it's moving. The whole thing's moving. But that tells me that it's not. That's the only part that it's touching on the hub. So that's interesting. Anyway, go on a bit further. Hello YouTubers, I'm back again doing a YouTube video about these Suzuki Alto rear brakes, 2013 GF with 50,000 Ks on it. Now, I've never seen such a monstrosity stuff up as what this is with these self-adjusters, as you can see it here. That's your self-adjuster that's supposed to adjust your brake shoes. I'm only putting new brake shoes on here, by the way, that, you know, 50,000 Ks, but really the old ones that were on it were scraping, and I couldn't work out why, and pulled it off. I thought they were down to the metal, but they had pretty much still a fair bit on it. The thing was, they were scraping because of the metal they have in the shoes now. I'll show you some here. There's some old ones. They have a lot of, they seem to put a lot of metal in them now. I don't know if you can see it, but that's like one I took off. They're not too bad. So I machined up the drums, getting them ready to put back on. But I've never seen. I hate drum brakes anyway on the back. These pissy little drum brakes they put on them, they ought to be flogged for doing it. All cars should have disc brakes on the back by now. It's 2020. They're just cheap and nasty, and idiots anyway for doing it. But anyway, the little adjuster under here. Getting back to this, it has a little clip on the bottom of it, and there's actually stuff all holding that clip on. It just fell off on me when I was adjusting it up to put the drum back on a little bit. It just fell off before. I couldn't believe a little tiny clip under here, and it just pushes into a slot that sort of holds the whole thing there. Absolutely ridiculous. You know, as I said, I don't like drum brakes. Hate them. I can't understand why they've still got them in, you know, 2020. It's just ridiculous as far as I'm concerned. They should have pissed them off years ago and had discs all around on everything. But anyway, we are stuck with them. So, a job that I would enjoy doing? No. Shit job, and I don't like them. Give me discs any day. So I just thought I'd show you that setup. Be careful with that self-adjuster if you're ever doing them. Stupid idea, stupid way of that self-adjuster is absolutely stupid compared to the old type. But you know, like I said, I don't like drum brakes anyway. I reckon they're just ridiculous. Get rid of them and put discs on here. I don't know whether discs will fit on this from any other vehicle. But see, you've got the problem with the handbrake then. You've got to try to find the handbrake, one that the handbrake will fit up to. So, you know, you can put the discs on and everything will fit on there, but sometimes you can't hook the handbrake up because it's different. So, you know, I don't know. But anyway, I've got them on. And I just thought I'd warn you about that self-adjuster. It's a real a-hole of a thing. And, you know, take photos before you pull all the bits. And for some reason I can't get a workshop manual on this thing. I don't know whether any of you out on YouTube land can get them, but they're not. They're doing it with all these new cars, or newish cars now. They're not releasing workshop manuals for them, so you've got to take them to the dealer. I don't know, but anyway, that's just a question. And I'll give you a bit of an update on a few other things I've done with this. Sorry I haven't posted for a while, but I haven't been well.